everybody. Good morning. It is the Mary and Joe Show with MsChronicChronicles. I'm coming on this morning to talk about a few fun little things. I haven't been around the last few days because life has its ups and downs. And I actually was working on my son's room the last few days, along with some other things. I don't even really have the studio set up at this point. I'm just felt like it was necessary to absolutely come on today and say hello to everybody. Smoke a little joint with everyone, drink a little coffee with everyone. You know, this is the Mary and Joe Show. So I hope you're all having a really great day. It's Friday, so at least here in Colorado it is. So happy Friday, everybody. If you're listening, please say hello in the comments. Like I said, I'm going to get this show started. So let me go ahead and throw my podcast, because this is a podcast, but it's also an update. Let me throw my podcast intro in, and then we can get chatting. So get your joints, that is your Mary, and your Joe, that is your coffee. And let's enjoy this podcast. The Mary and Joe Show. It's exactly what it sounds like. Basically sharing a bit of the Canna-Lifestyle with the coffee talk. You'll hear interviews, reviews on products, a bit of my own personal life experiences, and sharing on YouTube for over 10 years now, being active on the internet with my own chronic illnesses, and many interviews in the future, along with a dose of a normalcy. We are a community around the world, and I bring you this podcast to give you a normal place to enjoy your Mary and your Joe. Welcome, everybody. I just lit a mac and cheese joint that I got from Castle yesterday. But if you guys did not know, let me just say, we have such a review to do, because yesterday in my colorful Colorado land, I was able to get quite a bit of free joints yesterday, along with some very good strands I'll be reviewing. And thankfully, all the collectives were so reciprocative about doing these reviews. They all are probably listening. So shout out to HiQ, shout out to Castle, shout out to Tumbleweeds, Buds, the Green Joint. What else am I forgetting? TokeNTalks, the Dab. I'm so incredibly grateful to all the dispensaries that take care of me in this town. And as you can see, there's a lot more I haven't really shared with you guys, including HiQ had prices that were 50% cheaper than I've ever seen on edibles. And a lot of their strands, I'll just say, are not in the other stores. So we will be having some exclusive strand reviews very soon. I'm so excited to say that. Along with, I haven't even unboxed any of the bags yet, and I haven't taken a complete picture yet. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, please go to my Instagram today sometime, or into the community post on YouTube. You will see pictures of all the fun stuff that I got. Some of it will be open, some of it will not, because I want to unbox it with you guys. We do have a podcast tonight, though, as well, with my fantastic co-host, Marie Tarot 504. So make sure you tune in for that. Subjects, I don't know if it's open panel tonight, kind of winging it, but you would need to pay attention to any of the community posts. If we have a particular topic that we believe you guys should know about ahead of time, we'll obviously let you know. Otherwise, we enjoy just bringing what we feel should be thrown at the wall, if you know what I mean. Like every podcast, it's done organically the right way for us. Like when we overplan, me and my co-hosts get a little stressed out, so we don't do that. In the last few weeks, let's say, we have seen a lot more new collaborations are going to be coming to my platform, all my platforms, including pretty devastated about my last episode, the edible one. If you guys saw that last post, go check out my previous quick video that I shared. Unfortunately, that had to be pulled. It's whole drama. We'll get into it again. But Flower is more so what I use on a regular basis for medicine versus edibles. So when it really comes to the knowledge, strand specific, things like that, I really pay attention when I buy. So the more that I do these reviews, I will start explaining the strands, each strand review. Now, not every podcast that we do strand reviews on flower will have my co-host there. So those are not going to always be evening podcasts, just so you guys know. So just watch for the pop-ups, watch for the posts. Oh my goodness. So yesterday I turned 37. Choking. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. Mm, we need to drink the coffee. Yesterday I turned 37. And, before I was a mom, the kind of fun I would enjoy having was taking my dressed up self out into the world and just finding fun, like going out to eat, going shopping, staying out late. That is my thing, me time. I'm really comfortable with myself. So, yesterday, because, I'm a mom now and it's my 37th birthday, so I was like, let's do this fun. What could we do? What could we do? We could go spend a bunch of money on a dinner. That sounds like a great idea, which I started to do. But then my son, it's all his idea, was like, mom, why don't we go on a little adventure and buy a little cheaper? And then we could get like more snacks. And then we could, like, I don't know, go shopping and I could like pick out several presents for you and all the things. And I was like, oh, just in quite an utter shock that my son not only could express what he thought the game plan made more sense to without being insulting, but also, man, we had a lot more fun. I didn't blow $50 on a dinner. We ended up getting snacks, having a nice little drive about an hour out to Glenwood Springs, Colorado, which is just a beautiful place in general, but there were pink sunsets all the way to where we were going. And I had in mind that we would probably, if we did do the little adventure, we would just look for little places we hadn't been before. Because that's the adventure of drives, you kind of want to get lost, not dangerously, but you kind of want to find yourself in a new location. Something beautiful is waiting to be found. And so my son 6 years ago was not here, almost six, well, almost seven now. But when I became pregnant, I had been driving through this area um, with a friend of mine. Actually, it was before. Let me think. It's probably a lot longer than that. Let me think. Two, 2000, 2013, maybe? No, hold on. Let me really think. 2012? Yeah, I think the ashes were actually spread 2012. It wasn't even because I already lived in California. So maybe, God, a while back, people. A lot longer than I thought. I thought it had only been 6 years. No, I spread her ashes at least maybe 10 years now. But yeah, I spread my mother's ashes in the Colorado River at the nighttime in a secret location under a beautiful, beautiful, majestic bridge in a very just breathtaking spot. And the reason I did that is my mom really did want to be spread in Glenwood somewhere in Glenwood. That was her favorite place. So what back when I did it, and mind you, I hate all the things to do with burials, all of that. I don't deal with death well with the body part. I don't like all that. That's just something I don't even want to answer. And so when it had happened, when I had put the ashes in the water with my good friend, and we did it at night, like all kinds of covert, dressed in black kind of thing. Um, the memory is really all I got. I don't go to that location on a regular basis. It's been so long. And when I moved back to this area, I still hadn't went back to that location. I live near the I sound so southern right there. That was funny. It came out my twang. I live near the Colorado River. I mean, I pass it all the time. So for me, it's just this long, long river that I feel associated with, but don't feel like I need to go completely to the location that I dropped the ashes. But for context reasons, I had already told my son before that his grandma was in a certain location and that, she is traveling all around in the Colorado River. So he had always wanted to go to that particular location, which is just beautiful, you know, and it's not an easy walk. You have to kind of walk around a bridge, walk under a bridge, kind of scoot underneath a barricade. It's not exactly the easiest way to get there. You know what I mean? It was when we decided to do it, we chose to do it in a location that not everybody could get to. Um, so it has been a long time because of that reason. So anyway, I took my son, we got pizza. I love Taco Bell. I didn't want pizza this time. And my son's like, get yourself some Taco Bell. I'll get some pizza. Let's take our food on that 45-minute drive all the way to Glenwood. Let's eat over by where the water is, or maybe to another spot. And then let's go get cupcakes and flowers. And I'll just my son said this, I'll drop the flowers in the water for grandma and we can eat the cupcake, all of us together. And I was like, quite shocked that he had such a good plan. Like, he's like, this is what we're going to do. And the whole reason he thought it would be a great idea was especially because, as he said in his words, that, hold on, let me turn this down so it doesn't echo. Um, he said, Mom, if grandma wasn't here, I wouldn't be here because you wouldn't be here and all the things. And I was just like, oh my gosh, Tim, my son is so brilliant. So, so, so brilliant. He was just like, I think it'd be really, really a good way to celebrate, Mom. We celebrate your life, we celebrate my life, and we celebrate grandma's life. Well, it just heartstrings, full heartstrings. So, I set the mood with the music. We got our perfect little drinks. We got our few chips and whatnot because we had planned after all of the events, after we ate and everything, we would go home and watch some movies because that's what me and my son like to do, movie nights. So it was exactly how we wanted it. It was exactly how we expected it, except getting to that location was extremely hard. I probably went around in circles like 5 times in a vicinity to get closer to it. And then finally parked the car and was like, all right, hold hands tight. Let's get across the street. Let's do this, And me and him both were like leapfrog is at the game where we're like, no, we're not doing this. Big lanes of traffic, not a good idea. Even at night wasn't a good idea. I mean, there was no crosswalks where I was trying to walk. I was like, we're not doing this. So judgment came into play, and I was like, all right, let's go around again. So we drove around again. Now, mind you, Glenwood is similarly built like the town I live in Parachute. Grand Junction. Excuse me. Valiant Mesa Parachute's built with like 2 ramps on and off. You don't have lots of options to get over a waterway. You have one bridge to get over or another direction that takes like a whole nother 20 minutes. So in Glenwood Springs, it's very similar because there's this giant waterway that goes in between this very tiny town where the houses are literally built on the edge of a cliff. So it's kind of like you kind of need to know your backwoods, your back your back streets and things like that, and what vicinity has, walking paths, because I'm not going to take me and my 6-year-old in the middle of the night awkwardly down a street I don't know, obviously. Even though there's like very low crime in the area I was in, it was just a whole experience. So, you take your phone, you take your keys, you take your coffee, you take your drinks, you walk down the bridge, which I did get a video, and I'm not sure if I'm going to post it here. I may only post like a clip of it, not the full clip on my Instagram for you guys to view, but because I just don't want to, it's personal to us. So unless you really want to go look for it, which we're open to sharing, but it's just not necessary to give all the details through his voice unless you guys want to go listen to it on my Instagram. I'll post that later today. But I let him kind of record his thoughts after we had taken the moment, looked over at the water, took it all in. And when I mean full circle, I mean full circle. I mean, I believe in energy. I believe in a feeling, and the mood was just so, I want to say healthy, but that's just part of it. It was liberating. It was even enchanting in some ways. It just was so, it kind of gave me a little taste of back when I was a child and how my mother used to take us on adventures and make music the theory of the moment. We would, go over the evolution of Pink Floyd and um, Leonard Skinner and shoot, Kenny G sometimes too. That was what my mom enjoyed doing, schooling me with music and really good drives through our beautiful mountains. And with my son, I mean, he was like Mr. DJ in the back, deciding what songs we need to. He's like, skip, in the back. It was so great. Like, it just makes me look forward to the future as he is going to be 7 in 2 months. That I can honestly say I'm like so excited for all the adventures and all the memories that obviously, as your child who's growing up starts to express himself and his likes and dislikes. It's just, I'm such a proud mom. I'm such a proud mom that not only did he make my birthday the most special as he could, but I feel like we honored my mother too. And it is in true form, like my son said, honest. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my mom, and Tim wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me. The whole cycle of love, that a birthday, we weren't selfish in that moment. It wasn't about gifts and cakes. In fact, we could not find a cake. So by the time we thought, okay, we need cupcakes, we ended up at Target very late. And, my son is, like I said, he's opinionated. He's a Sagittarius, but he's opinionated. Very kind about it, but opinionated. And, he just would not have it because I told him so many times, like, we got snacks. We had a good time. We don't need any presents. He's like, no, that's unacceptable. So when we went to Target, he searched the whole store for things that would work for mommy, is the way he put it. This will work for mommy. That will work for mommy. And it was adorable. At one point, he found me this. It's like a fig. I will take a picture of it. It has to be fixed because the bottom of it was a little broken. But we found a tree in the store randomly, like in the laundry department. That's a fake fig tree. It's probably like 2 feet tall, not very tall. It's this cute little tree, right? And the back of the pot had like chips on it, and there was no sticker for price. And you guys may or may not know, but like I like real plants. I like fake plants. I like all plants. I love plants. I'm a plant girl. I'm a vegetarian even. I like them plants. But um he wouldn't let me get rid of this plant. I saw it. I was like, oh, I love it. And then I'm like, well, let's see how much it is. He's like, you're getting it no matter what. I'll haggle with them. Uh, and he did. We get to the customer service line. We get up there and I'm like, I have all this I need to get, but please give me a price check on this. Well, between the two ladies looking for the price, initially they were trying to get me at $80 for this thing, which was just insane. And my son's like, there's just no way. Telling the ladies that there's just no way. And then finally they get down to 30 and then they're like, no, you know what? How about we give it to you for 20? But at that point, I was just like, my son was so determined for me to have this damn tree. At this point, it wasn't even about the tree anymore. It was about him, seeing him get what he was just fighting for, that he wanted. He knew, he said, kept saying to the lady, my mom, if you guys don't know, let me give you a, let's go into a story. So about 2 months ago, I'll say the very end of July, I had ordered, oh, we're going to almost 3 months now. I had ordered a giant, it's like 6.5, so 6.5 feet tall Ficus, Behringer Ficus. Is that right? Benjamin Ficus, that's what it was. And these are just big trees, and it's a fake tree. The fake tree was strictly more so for like content purposes, putting lights on it. It reminds me of my mother. She had like the best finger with the green thumb with those ficus. Those trees stayed live and they were huge. And it's been a while, so I really, really wanted two like she had. She had one in one part of our house and another. It's just very good memories for me growing up. I know it's a fake tree. That shouldn't matter. It's just nostalgia. Well, I found one a couple of months ago, local for $15, which was really amazing. But the one that I ordered still hadn't got there. I had ordered this tree. It was over $100. It wasn't exactly cheap. Um, but I knew that that was going to be a long wait from Amazon. I knew that I was going to have to wait for the damn fake tree. I knew it. I could probably grow one and get it quicker, but I waited, right? 2 months go by, literally. And then I finally get the cancellation notice that they were unable to fulfill the order. So, in my frustration and like, all right, use that $100 on groceries, which is what I did. Okay, now go and, oh, you have paint. Maybe you should just paint yourself a damn tree. So, I decided I needed a palm tree instead, like a palm fanned, you know, tree, a mural. I decided to do it on the wall. Like, fuck it. You know what? Maybe I don't need a tree. We'll find out when I draw this thing if I don't want a tree. My analogy is funny, I know. Anyway, so the thing's painted. I love it. I like lose that sensation, that fulfilling need or desire that you want to have the damn tree, right? But it's in the back of my mind, and my son has definitely have fucking been hearing me talking about it, right? So, speed up to now October. It's from July to October. And here we are in this store. We've had this amazing evening. It's been nothing but life, like, honestly elevating, truly elevating. I feel like me and my son bonded on a level that I didn't even know we needed to last night. And I went to sleep last night seeing my son so happy in his well, it's almost finished. We're going to say it's like 75% done. Newly finished bedroom that I've been working on a mural in his room too on the floor. He wants to bring the outdoors in, so we have like a cobblestone path, grass, and then the green grass along the cobblestone, and then a stream with a lily pad, and then there's going to be a mountain scene with a goat, and in the trees there's going to be, oh, I'm sorry, in the mountain there's also a waterfall, and then in the trees in the corner will be a rainbow, bird, butterflies, a moon in the sun. He has expectations. So I encourage you guys to pay attention to my community feed and also my Instagram, because I will be sharing a little bit of it here and there. But it's just been an experience. So yes, last night was the first night that my son was able to enjoy at least the floor and had his bed in there, all set up, nice and cozy. I didn't hear from him at all. My son usually is the kind of child that likes to get out of bed 50 times before, he says I love you and he comes back and says I love you again, which is fine, that's understandable too. We are in a house that's large, but it's hard to hear if you're far on the other side of the house. So, it's very common for me to expect to see him 15 times before he actually says goodnight for real. But last night, it was just this like peace that came over our entire family. Like, I'm raising this kid right. I'm so proud of me as a mom, and I'm so proud of us as a family. That's really what it boils down to. Like, and not only is he aware of his surroundings, he's soaking it up. And, I am really, really picky and choosy of what I allow him to be stimulated by. And who he hangs out with and all the other things. And a couple of days ago, actually, I unfortunately had to deal with, I wasn't going to talk about it, but we'll probably talk about it a little bit more tonight. I'm only going to touch briefly on it just because it just shows the dynamic of this whole circumstance. Um, my son is 6 years old, going to be 7 in December, and I was just blown away. So a few days ago, our next door neighbor, their child who has problems with speaking, is verbal but not fully, and he's very smart. This child is very, very smart. But it's hard when you don't and you can't communicate. Like, it's no fault of his own. This is just unfortunate into his developmental. So, as I've seen him since he was a baby, maybe 3 months old. As I've seen him grow up, and as I've seen my son and him become very close friends, it's powerful for me. My little boy has a brother without having a brother. I mean, most men go through that bonding with their bros, if you know what I mean. Their friends, their adolescents and in adulthood. And it was just kind of one of those things where you go full circle, man. Like, what happened was a couple of days ago, and I'm going to not disclose full information for privacy reasons, but my next door neighbor's son, bless his little heart, came running over to us to let us know that his mother had fallen to the floor and passed. He thought passed out, but he said she was dying. And I didn't know what was going on. And my son was literally banging on my door with the friend. And so, I'm come out of my room. I'm like, what's going on? What's the commotion? This little boy came into our house and just opened the door. He didn't knock to come in. He just came in and said, my mommy needs help. Help us. I run with my little boy, 6 years old little boy. We take charge, go over to the house, realize that his mother is suffering potentially an overdose of some sort. And the details to the circumstances I cannot disclose fully at this time, but I am working on getting the emergency recording the 911 call, because I've already had permission from the mother to go ahead, because the call was just insane. Not only was I not able to obviously get the medics to take it seriously right away, and I have called to Los Angeles, California, when I lived there, for shootings I had witnessed and things like that. And in Louisiana, I mean, response times when you call 911 should not be, I don't even know how to say this properly, shouldn't be it shouldn't be an ignorant time. It never should be an ignorant time. When you call 911, it's an emergency. There shouldn't be any other reason you're calling 911 unless it's absolutely an emergency. There's a non-emergency line, there's an emergency line. Well, when I called the emergency line, the emergency line, the 911 emergency line, they didn't put me on hold like Los Angeles did back in the day, or transfer me to another city like Los Angeles or Louisiana has done. But they sure as shit did not think that. It's almost like I don't even know how to say this. I'm going to be opinionated in this point. It's like they really didn't care if the person overdosed. They wanted to deal with the end result versus keeping them alive. It sounded like that. I know that's not what it was, but it sounded like that. And my little boy witnessed this, along with her little boy witnessed this, of her turning almost completely purple, unable to breathe, and convulsions, and eyes rolling in the back of her head, and the struggle to breathe, jerking body motion. And again, I can't disclose fully because I don't even know fully what was taken, but it was considered a bad situation, if I can put it in. You can get the context. So when unfortunately my son walked into this house and saw it too, I wanted to remove him from the circumstances immediately. After the 911 call, finally getting the medics to come. No police ever came, by the way. Not a single police ever came, which I just don't understand that, because everywhere I've ever lived and I've called 911, man, they're the first ones there. So, and we're a small town. There's an oversaturation of police, even for our town, and they're actually not even allowed to come up onto the hill. Hi there, Marie. I'm just talking about that incident in a very coded way. Hopefully we can touch on it possibly a little tonight, but yeah, I mean the rangers are the only ones really that are allowed up on the hill when we have police. Like everywhere else I've ever lived, and I'm sure Marie can attest to this. She's in the chat today. Please say hi to her, everybody. Um that usually when you call 911, they'll send out at least an officer, at least one car. What is the circumstances? Like, what are they having to subdued situation wise? And because, like I said, I was with a minor, I was with my child, and completely unaware of what to do with that situation, not 100% sure what was going on. It just seemed like it was so unprofessionally done. So thankfully, I have the permission from my neighbor to get that phone call, as she also believes it was completely unprofessional, and it's a lesson to be learned in this situation. So we are going to be requesting that. I don't know how or what, or even if she's going to have to be the one to do it, but I'm going to be looking into that. And she told me with full transparency that she's happy that we'd be showcasing it, because this is how we should not be treating an emergency situation. And if she had overdosed and passed away, her child would have been a witness to that, and so would mine. And that person on the 911 call, literally, it sounded like, and I say this in the kind, I'm being nice when I say this, it just sounded like she was reading off a script and did not hear what I was saying to her, because I gave her all the details within the first 3 minutes of that first call. Like, as soon as I called, I said, I have someone on the floor. Their child came to help, have me help. They are purple, eyes rolling in the back of their, convulsing, all the things. And it's exactly what I said. And they then went on to the list to say, do they have any discoloration? Are they struggling to breathe? Do they seem like they're ill? Are you kidding me? I That shouldn't even be on your list, lady. This is not, are you working for T-Mobile? What's happening here? It was very confusing and scary. And I know for a fact that it has put a little bit of a complex between the two boys that saw this. The two minors that saw this are still struggling. My son wakes up now every day, asks me, how does he think our neighbor is doing? And her child also, is hypervigilant as now too. And is that good? Is that a good thing to have as a complex? Now that little boy saved his mom's life. And he felt safe enough to come to me. I just found out yesterday. I'm repeating this in this podcast, but here we go. I just found out last night from my son that our neighbor's child, he just walked into the door. He didn't even knock. He knew, I can trust them. I need to go over here and get help from my mom. Now, I have taught my son this a billion times. But when I asked my neighbor, had she ever taught her child that? No. That right there just shows, holy crap. I mean, I'm still not completely sure how to process it all. I just don't know. I mean, I'm so glad that we got them help and they're okay. But I mean, is this going to, I really have to be real. Is this going to set my son up for the rest of his life to be hyper vigilant for things like this? It probably will. I mean, I don't remember seeing any serious situations growing up until maybe I was like, I mean, I remember getting help from my mother with an abusive situation. I spoke about that in my one of the addiction episodes we talked about. I'll put that below in this video, the link to it, that I went next door after my mother was being choked to death by my father with an electrical cord, I mean a phone cord around her neck. Um I ran next door because my mother told me, go get help, go get help. I guess you could say I'm still just blown away that this little boy, I would have freaked out my brain would have freaked out. I think I freaked out back when I went through my own situation. And my mother saying, go get help. And I went and got help, and we got her away from that situation, and she lived. But there was a high probability she was pregnant at the time, and my father wanted to end all of us. So in this circumstance, it's just more so of like, I told my son very clearly that he needed to be there for our neighbor's little boy, because he needs to know that he can come back to us if he ever needs help, if he ever needs anything. That's the most powerful thing of all of this, is understanding, me and my little boy are a team, and I am very much proud of my community. Yesterday was also very interesting too. Let me just segue here. I mean, the comments and the questions, I'm sure I can't answer all of them for you guys. If you have any questions tonight, feel free to ask them in the podcast when me and Marie Terrell are on live. But it's shooken me up. That whole circumstance has shooken me up. I'll say that. And it's honestly the only way I'm processing it now is day by day. Day by day. So I guess we need to be hyper vigilant with our neighbors. I guess we do need to, be there if it's needed, I'm not sure how to say how to say that you digest this and just move on. It's I'm so glad she didn't pass or anything, but the ramifications of the circumstances, they are altering. So like I said, I did speak to my son really in depth about, this is where we need to think about the kind of people that we have in our lives, and like what kind of energy we put forth. And you can be there for people, but you don't have to be involved in those things. So that's the hardest part, is though I understand that my son may care about this family, it's a totally different circumstances about him being close to that family. Now I feel as a mother, I have to be the one, like my mom would have been, to offer this little boy to spend the night at our house versus my son ever spending the night there again. That's the hardest part. Um, Admitting that part to myself and to my son. And it was a long silence amongst my son and I when we had that conversation. He understood. He understood. And the environment, we can't tell anyone how to live. That's exactly what his words were. We can't tell anyone how to live, but we can at least set a good example. That's exactly what he said. A 6-year-old. I'm so proud of my son. So proud of my son. So I really feel like that is necessary to bring up. And also want to put out there that, usually it starts with addiction. It's not just usually the substance, it's the addiction. And, you know, if you're cursed by your circumstances and it's the addiction that literally creates that dependency for that other toxic added equation. I'm trying to be coded as I say this. There's just very few things that us as a community can do towards others other than being hyper vigilant. So what happens to all of those other circumstances forward? It's about making good choices. That's the main thing that I am trying to teach my child is, I've said this to him, and I think it's not a bad thing to teach your kids at age 6, that you can tell them you can't choose your family, but you can choose your own choices. So that, I'm sure he'll even use against me someday, but it is what it is. I feel like making sure he doesn't judge other people's circumstances, and I don't even feel like it's wise for him to judge addiction. A 6-year-old shouldn't understand that dynamic, but understanding others live different lives is quite important. Um, when when the days go on and the weeks go on, the months roll by, and I'm like watching my child grow up, his little tiny legs grow into this giant. I mean, he's more than half my size. My 6-year-old is to my shoulders, and Marie Tarot can attest to these giant trees of children we have. That it's that alone is humbling, much less what they say, what they do, how they think. Just to see them growing, the reward is it's a constant. As a parent, the reward is a constant, I'll say that. So me and my son last night decided we will be doing a lot more of these fun little adventures, and I offer to you guys to potentially hear some of the adventures in my son, his special little way. I may be recording, like, never show his face, but recording some of his outtakes, or um outtakes is the wrong word, but like his input to the adventures. And so I may share some of that in the future, but mostly I had to come on here and I'm just so proud of my child. I'm so proud of him. Like, my birthday was yesterday, and all I can think about is how proud I am of my kid. It's just such a weird thing. Oh, like, if that's the gift, okay, I'll take it. If that's the gift of being a mom, is to see the reward like this, I take it. I take it fully. And I'm one of those parents not like trying to have more children. So it's like when I really look at it, I'm like, God, so proud of you, you individual, And it's just, he said to me too, it was really funny. So when is it that I'm actually able to, like, go out and do things? Like, he's thinking at 6 eventually in his head, like, what ages he can do things. I don't know if you parents out there have the same with your kids, like, where they're asking age, when can you do this, when you can do that, when can you drive a car, when can you get a job, when can you try coffee? That kind of stuff. My son always asks me really strange questions like that, and I love it though. But he asked me the other day, when can me and you take a trip outside the country? Well, that's a question I would love to answer. And honestly, I think in the next few years, being that most requirements to actually leave the country, you need a COVID shot. I don't know if that is the route we're going to have to take in the future to be able to travel, and it sort of looks like that right now, but um we never know, right, guys? But I don't have a passport for my son yet. And that's the one thing I'm at this point. Like, you know what? I have friends in Mexico. I have friends in Canada. It's absolutely time, at least for us, to get the ball moving. So I did have that nice little chit chat with my son last night about, let's start working on getting your passport and getting mommy's renewed and doing the things that, enhance the memories that we want to make. Um, I have some big things happening on the channel in general, with content. So I'm not going to get too much into that. I think me and our lovely, my co-host will go over that tonight with you guys. But yeah, I had written some notes. Let me see if I can grab that real quick, because I did want to talk about this related to the birthday. I wrote some notes the day before. Let me see here real quick. Let's see. It's birthday eve information. Let's see. This is just a rough sketch. I'm going to read out my rough sketch. Okay, people. Following through. Problems in the past. I think that's what I was talking about with the recent situation with the neighbor. The following through, talking about it. I didn't want to talk about it, but I really think that it is necessary to mention that, it's a constant issue. I just posted something on the community page yesterday, actually, last night, related to how there's just overwhelming deaths happening with fentanyl versus cannabis use. And this person that I'm talking about, unfortunately, she's an ex-cannabis user, which is the weirdest thing for me now to realize. that I have literally in 2022, I hate saying this out loud, here it comes. I have seen people use it as a gateway. Some people still do use it as a gateway. I don't think it created the problem, but maybe the high was what people were searching for. Ugh, it breaks my heart. It just, that shouldn't be happening in 2022. We shouldn't be having this happen. It is what it is. I'm sure we will dive into that a little bit more tonight with my lovely co-host, but I have been painting on the mural. That's the other part. And painting in my house, other parts. I'm probably going to do a little bit of pop-ups here and there going forward, sharing some of the details. So stay tuned for that. Let's see. Oh, handling other money goals. Well, I am actually, this whole winter, the plan is to downsize all the way actually fall to winter. I'm planning to do a bunch of garage sales in the next few weeks and whatnot too. It's a weird time to do it, but I feel like I'm being pulled to do it. I don't know why. I want to liquidate as much as I can. And I'm honestly, I'm either going to get my car fixed or trade in 2 cars. That's what I'm thinking, because I have an oil leak in my SUV and it's just become an ongoing pain in the ass. Let's just say that. Pain in the ass. I love the car, love the SUV. It works pretty damn good. We don't have major problems, but the oil leak is a continual issue. So, downsizing and saving up. I kind of feel like a little squirrel. So every time I talk about the saving up, guys, that's what I'm talking about. The squirrel moments. So I will probably be sharing with you guys some tips and tricks that I do to help save money, how to put money in your savings account, things like that. Just my own mom goal stuff that I'm working on. Okay. Oh, and the main term that I have been finding myself is that what helps me downsize. There's lots of different YouTubers I'll be shouting out that I like to listen to that are also very inspirational, or keeping in mind downsizing versus more versus quality versus quantity, if you understand. So we'll be discussing some of that, and then how that can affect your mental health. I have a fantastic guest I'll be bringing on, Lona Morrison. She'll be assisting me in that chat related to clutter, parenting, all the other fun stuff, how it really can affect even your creativity. Let's see here. Oh, and cutting back the fat, the extras in where people, we all deal with it in our own sick ways. Sometimes it's like you like the expensive toilet paper. Sometimes people like extra straws with special stuff. I mean, it whatever your little coping mechanisms are for uh, the quality of life that you find. So extra items that may make you more humble in your life or more comfortable in your life. We'll be talking about that because I do feel it falls right hand in hand with referencing clutter or excess in life with everything. You got to cut back the fat, whatever's not working. Okay. All right, here we go. What's the other part of this? Oh, okay. So I had this little thought here. Let me see if I can say this properly. It's all scribble scratched. So finding the version of me used to be while I use the brush without the thought, without the feeling, just the faith in the strokes. This is a quote from a fantastic future person I'll be shouting out, YouTuber, who is also an artist. And so stay tuned for those fun little motivational artistic chit chats. Okay, let's see. And that's going to be rolling into November. So, like, what are we thankful for? Artistic wise, what are we thankful for? Health wise, all those things we're going to be getting into. Let's see. Yeah, in the month of October, I'm not going to post until like we are doing the subjects. So just make sure you pay attention to the calendar that is listed on the community post and also my Instagram. All right, here's a last little note to myself. Okay. So I did want to mention that at some point during this month, I'll be doing a pop-up focused on the terms burnout. Why burnout? Well, because from what I understand, and this is just the only way that I felt it would make sense, is basically when you are coming out of retrogrades, when you're coming out of these stagnant periods of time, sometimes it can take up to 2 weeks for the energy to get back to complete normal, like feeling like everything's flowing. Not everybody believes in astrology or the energies or transits or any of that. I understand that. I'm not trying to convince anybody. For me, I do, because I've seen over years of how I respond to the planets even when I don't even look into it, and then see how it, for me, I just respond very much to the energies. And October the 25th through the 27th, we're going to have this like really strange period of time that is going to affect a lot of people, and it could honestly create a lot of burnout in some people's lives. It's kind of the buildup coming out of um the Grand Cross that happened in August, September, and now we're in October. So what happens usually is when energies build up and build up and build up, then there's this like steam effect. You know, if you've ever seen a pressure cooker, there's like a lot of mess after, if you get my point. So I want to cover that at least before the end of October, because I feel like it's a good time to remind you guys to regroup, to count your blessings, make lists, check them twice, but I just wanted to bring that up because I think it'd be really important for the future. Once we go into December, we're going to be talking about all the other fun things that happened in December, energy wise, including the 21st of December is always very important every year for lots of different reasons. But I'm not going to get into that. So we will be talking about that. So obviously, hit the bell. Stay tuned for some future chit chats. I'm not gonna leave yet though. I'm playing with you. I'm not leaving yet. I gotta actually roll something up again. So, how is everybody today though? I hope you're all doing awesome. I do apologize for not being on the last couple of days. It's like I said, I had to regroup after that circumstance with the neighbor, and my lovely co-host was not feeling well the other day too. So that was another reason we didn't want to push it, but I don't think there's anything wrong with reflection. I think it's quite important, actually. I mean, when we eat food, it doesn't just go through us, unless you're me. But no, when we eat food, it digests. It takes time. It processes. It goes to where it needs to go. It feeds your in necessity. It feeds you. Um, and I do think that analogy works pretty damn good with like how energies can go through. And like as an artist, I am very seasonal with my emotions on even creating. Like the one comment I keep getting in all of the posts that I've made, I mean, on every platform that I've made about this floor I'm working on for my son, all of them are just like, that's a lot of dedication. Hold on one second. I have to get another strand out here. I just ran out of smoke. Hold on. It's a little bit loud. I'm going to mute you. Like I said, it's the build up to the next chapter in a person's life. When you feel that pressure cooker, you always know, we all can say this, that we know something's around the corner. Like you usually smell it. And as like an artist, some of us get majorly affected by the season. So like sometimes we'll lose interest at certain times. Others are built up at certain times. Like for me, in this time of the year, seasonally, I'm not really sad or anything. Usually January is when things get very depressed for me because I can't handle that there's so much snow. Like I need it gone by then. Which it wasn't like that when I first moved out here. You know, it's just been over time. So I've been really grateful for the rain we've had the last couple of days, because I'll say that has made it all okay. Like, you know, the seasons when we get the clouds and whatnot, I can handle clouds, but they better freaking rain if it's going to give me clouds. and the growing aspect in my house. You guys have probably been watching that. If you haven't, definitely check out Instagram, look up Chronically Designed. I'll put that in the bio. I've been posting pictures of the grow. I have a few different plants growing right now, some corn, some other things. And yesterday I was gifted a beautiful English ivy plant, which you guys don't know, but that's one of my favorite house plants. I honestly would love my whole back to have like a bunch of ivy, honestly. But that's a lot of pain with tattoo. But I love ivy. I would love a house covered in ivy. That's my jam. Like stones, like an English little cottage. I'd love it. I want a big pond though. And lots of trees. No, let me roll this a little bit better, and then we're gonna get this lit. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm a little disappointed this summer. I didn't get to do as much as I expected. I really expected my production business to take off a little bit more than it did. It was rolling at the beginning of the year. I have just refocused my energy on a lot of other stuff. So, but in the last, what is it? Let's say 2 weeks, I've gotten probably like 6 or 7 calls about studio time. So I have a feeling, friends and family, I will be buying that amazing console very soon. Recording console. It needs to happen. It's official. I got everything but that. So, like I said, I got to downsize, work on the car. I'm really hoping by like February, I can come back to this moment and be like, okay, I did it. I got this, and this done. That's what I'm really hoping. And even my lovely co-host, Marie Tarot 504, she can attest to her own goals where we're just like, we know it's a baby step. We know we can't just jump into it, but you got to start somewhere. You got just like the dream has to be envisioned, so do the goals have to be set in place. Last month, I set up 4 different savings accounts so I can try to really hone in on what I need. And because I did that last month, I found that I was saving all wrong before. So I may be sharing some of my secrets with you guys. And it's a shout out to Mac of her awesome advice on how to just kind of hide money from yourself. We all kind of need to learn that, right? It's like, geez. I heard this morning that there is potentially another stimulus check because I think Biden just signed something to make sure the economy doesn't go to shit still. That's going to be interesting. I'll keep you guys informed about that. Would you guys like to be informed about the stimulus checks and things like that? Do you guys want to know? Are you curious about content like that? I am not keeping up with the Russian aspect too much because it actually stresses me out way too much. And that's not an excuse. It's a fact, okay? Doesn't mean it's the right way. It's just I can't really deal with it. I am trying to keep my own mental capacity strong for anything, worrying like that. I just, until it hits land, which I'm hurting for those people though. But the conflict just keeps going on and on and on. I remember being so enthralled with the Ukrainian conflict that happened in 2009 that I was glued to the television, like as if I was a Russian. It was just a Russian or Ukrainian. It was a whole nightmare. But now I can't even trust our media. Like when I watch the news, I'm like, is this even the facts? That's just how I feel. And a lot of people will agree with me on that. I know that, but I feel like as Americans, what we tend to do often, and I'm just speaking for myself, not speaking for anyone else, but what we tend to do is distract from our own world problems. And that's not good. We need to know what's going on in our own homeland, our own area. Thus, I will be starting to open up a lot more local cases too in the Western or in Colorado in general. We have touched on things in Louisiana. We will be doing more of that this month and following. It's a group effort between Marie and I, gathering info that we feel is important. Sometimes we come fully prepared one night and then change completely what our topics we want to be. And that's just because we go with our gut when we come on. And, that's just the way we do it. And you guys are always welcome to leave suggestions for topics in the comments below. But mostly, we feel like, we're not competing with anyone out there. We want to give our own 2 cents on our own experiences. This particular broadcast today is only being broadcast on MsChronicChronicles, which you guys will start seeing a lot more content like that. Some issues cannot be brought to this channel and have to go over to Rachel Raw Truth or some of the other platforms, including I just signed up for Rummel thanks to the Progressive Patriots friend, CannaCon. Hold on one second, guys. We have a demanding chihuahua. Hold on. So, like I was saying, sorry about that. I have a ton of alarms when I open my door, so it's probably messing up the sound. I apologize. But yes, like I said, we have a ton planned. We go with our gut when we come on here. Some of the platforms that we are signed up with don't allow all the content that we like to put out. So if it wasn't for the Progressive Patriot, shout out to his awesome channel. Go check him out. I will hashtag him below. You guys can check him out. If it wasn't for him sharing his fabulous friend, Cannabis Con, who was featured in an interview with Eli on Rumble. This app is actually fantastic. I'm going to get myself a little bit more educated about it because I feel like if we can find a place that isn't going to completely censor everything we talk about, then I really believe that even our Katrina episode needs to be rebroadcasted on another platform. So it's just what it is. We're going to have to fight the good fight here. Like I said, my content is exclusive to my channel. I don't understand why YouTube is so against educating people, sharing knowledge. It's just so sad. This used to be a much more friendly platform. It's just what has happened over time. It's like, a brand new paved road and then time puts some damn holes in it. Those potholes. Don't we know, Marie Tarot? If you've lived in Louisiana, you know what we're talking about. Those potholes run deep. Anyway, I think it's going to be pretty great to have some of my guests soon on. I still have plans for 420, the 420 chef. Jay Lynn, he'll be coming on soon, along with my fabulous friend in Mexico, who's going to be talking about the controversy she's experienced living in California versus Mexico. It's pretty awesome things. If you guys would like to suggest, like I said, any cases or suggestions, please put them below. I probably will be coming on a few times in the week with pop-ins, like I said. And it might just be like this, a token talk. I think the morning chats are important. Like I said, I just heard about that stimulus stuff this morning too. So I don't know if it's... Actually, this is a real good fact. I really wish that YouTube would not allow the clickbait for things that are important. I really wish, because I now see a title on a video, and you know what I do? I go straight to Google and Google search that title, and I'm like, is it true or not? And that's usually how I find out if they're clickbaiting us with the stimulus checks, and I just think that's a shame. There's a lot of people out there who are really struggling, and for that to be like a little carrot on a stick, mess with people's time, stress people out with hope. I mean, that's the hard part. I also do want to keep you guys informed that between me and Marie Tarot, we are both keeping a very solid eye on the Student loan debt relief. We personally both have been in a long downward spiral with our own student loans paying for over 10 years, at least myself. I'm not sure how long Maria's been dealing with hers, but we've been trying to handle that for a long ass time. Um, and because now that there is a potential to have it wiped, mine is under, I think it's like 12,000 right now. I'm not sure on hers, but she can speak for herself. Marie, that is. But we will be keeping you guys up to date if we hear anything, because we're also keeping an eye on it. Um, that right there would change my whole dynamic financially, because that $200 that they take for me regularly and wasn't even scratching the surface when it came to my loans. Even when I paid hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars at a time, it would just, you drown. And um, the debate is it's very broad out there, what people's opinions about having debt relief or not. I actually worked in the debt industry. I worked in collection agencies in my 20s. I am quite aware of both sides of the spectrum. I also do believe that back in the day, there was so much fine print, we really didn't honestly know what we were dealing with. And we didn't know the economy was going to look the way it does now. We didn't know that, or even like how dangerous, technically, health wise, things were going to get in our lives. I mean, let's just not even talk about COVID. Let's just talk about healthcare in general, where, we were told we were going to have health insurance and then we don't. All the things. Like, I am not one party or another. I am independent. I have been independent since probably 2011. I It's probably since Obama I became independent, to be honest. And mostly because I grew up conservative. I lived in Colorado, had a lot of Democratic relationships. I say it like that because I was dating a lot of Democrats and they were like, I won't date you even if unless you're a Democrat. Whole nightmares. But education is power. I'm really glad I've learned all the different dynamics and sides. But the one thing that is not um, a political divider, it shouldn't be, is healthcare. That right there, it should be universal, in my opinion. So I stand really, really strong with saying that people should have answers and not suffer. Because my biggest point, and I hope me and Marie bring this up tonight, I really do. This is the thing I fight for. This is the thing I'm still fighting for. This is how my channel, all the old videos you guys haven't fully seen yet, which I don't know, maybe we'll do a review tonight at one of them. But the main problem has been healthcare and access. Like, nobody should have to suffer with not having answers and living in debt. Nobody should suffer with that. Nobody should then have it grow into mental health issues because you're afraid. Those are not okay. Those are the things that I fight for because I personally deal with them. Do you know that I have so many health problems right now that I don't have answers for? And even the doctors are like, better luck next time. Do you want to deal with tests? Okay, then. That's, you answer for yourself out there. Sometimes it's more work to find out the answers than it is to actually, and more expensive than actually deal with the problem. Sometimes the journey to get to the answer of the problem, literally it becomes the nightmare itself when the problem may be minute. It's literally like that. Like, I've heard a lot of people in the community recently talk about how anxiety can make you feel like you have a heart attack. What a good example. How many people get to the point and they're so sick of it and then it turns into a mental health issue and then they've hurt themselves. Like, this is a continual problem onto a problem on top of another problem onto another problem. This is why I fight for the facts that I don't even think addiction would be as bad as it is if it wasn't for better health access. I mean, I'm not as diverse on or I'm not as versed on how the like psych wards work and things like that, how maybe, or rehabs work potentially. But I know my ex was very, very freaking honest with me that it was hard to get into a rehab unless you had the funds or the best insurance. And even when you had the best insurance, they always had limitation stipulations. That is something he made very clear. And his options for helping himself, well, alternative medications and things like that were only usually advised under doctor supervision um, in a facility setting like a rehab or whatnot. So if they were going to use alternative therapy, not cannabis I'm talking about, I'm saying alternative like mental health therapies, okay? Um, it's not something you could technically do outpatient without having really strict guidelines or a whole group or team of people who are working together on that. I think that also goes back to, why is that? Why aren't we having like a more realistic, financially common sense approach to medical and mental health and getting things answered? Like, why? I don't know. I remember a long time ago there was a debate, I don't know if it actually went through, but where you would be incentivized if your patients weren't sick, then you as a doctor got more money. If your patients kept coming sick, it wasn't like they got penalized, but it was like you didn't get anything from that. It wasn't a head count, it was a health ratio count. I think California was going to do that. I'm almost positive they did. I'll have to look into that because that's the kind of healthcare I want to see, where you get rewarded for being healthy, not struggling to be healthy. You have to almost be completely financially off to actually make sure you won't get too sick or not have enough resources. It's a different kind of situation that I feel like unless you personally have dealt with it yourself or witnessed it within your family or your friends, like, I'm not just talking about mental health. I'm talking about the dynamics of not having access to healthcare or having the best healthcare. Like, why are we shamed like this as disabled people that our own healthcare or veterans? They're not also given the very, very best healthcare. We're given the acceptable amount of healthcare, acceptable basis of healthcare. It's acceptable. You can accept it. It's the only kind way to put it. And that alone is what's creating the more bigger fucking problem, the bigger fucking elephant in the room. I don't know. Are some of these people using fentanyl self-medicating like we keep talking about? Is that maybe we gotten to the point, as like I've mentioned and we showcased on that previous video from Soft White Underbelly? How is it? Is it just a better access, quicker approach to the bigger problem? So if you're an addict, let's just give a bigger dose to the demon, and then the problem's so big we don't even fuck that problem before. This is the problem now. Like, is that it? I don't know. Whoo! Mind fucking. Anyway, I've rambled. I've shared quite a bit today, wherever you're at. And I do appreciate all of you listening. Please make sure if you're watching the playback, give me a little comment, say hello, give me a thumbs up, share this video, and please do stay tuned for tonight when I and my co-host will be on. Not sure about the time, not sure about the topic, but stay tuned. Thank you all for being here, and until next time, have a good day. Bye.